Good morning, everybody. This is Friday Nights of Yore, and today we'll be going over the greatest top 25 of all time high school football programs. So, with that, let's get started. Go to full screen. This week's video, we're going to cover the top 25 of so far this year, and then we're going to get into the top 25 of all time from 1877 to 2019. Last week, thought I'd put out a video just on the algorithm, and if I'm going to do a top 25 of all time, then a lot of you would want to know is what that would be based on. So you can refer to that. I'll send a link down below. So if you want to go back to that as far as how that's calculated, you can at any time. And also you can go to the website that I have on the first page and down below regarding all the lists that you want to go through. So this week, only games were played in Utah, and American Fork is number one, their performance, and Highland Lone Peak is number two, Roy number three, Corner Canyon number four, and Pleasant Grove number five. Look at the American Fork and Lone Peak. Those ratings, if they hold up, are national championship caliber, and Utah is playing pretty darn good football. So I wouldn't be surprised if American Fork would stay up there through the year, and maybe Lone Peak. So, top 25 of all time. A lot of these teams are going to be from the 2000s and beyond. I got a few teams older than that, but a lot of them are from the 2000s, as I say. And I'll talk about that another video down in the stream, but I think this reflects reality. So, starting off, Salt Lake Carroll, two of their teams, 2019, 2013. Number 23, Folsom out of Northern California, 2014. My first number one when I first started these rankings, Wexford North Allegheny out of Pennsylvania, 2012 team, and 21 out of Texas, DeSoto, 2012. And by the way, I have different rankings. I did go over this last week as far as how they are rated. I've got several different ratings besides these, but these are the main ones. The combined rating is done out of just how the margin of victory, win-loss is strictly whether it's a win or a loss, regardless of not regardless of who you played, but no matter how many points that you score, you're going to get a maximum of 1 point. And offense is a rating for how many points you score versus the strength of the defense and an iterative process, and vice versa. The defense is measured as far as points given up versus the tendency of the offense to score points. So those are the ratings, but this ranking is sorted by the combined ratings. So number 20, Katy, Texas, and number 19, 2010 team and 2018 team. 2013, Miami Central. 17, 2019 IMG Academy out of Florida. And 2016 Mater Dei, and Mater Dei's on here several times. Going on, my first pre-2000 is a real little team, Chattanooga Central team, 1913. Last year's 2000 St. Francis out of Maryland, another 1913 team, Oak Park River Forest. I have it listed here, but this is before the schools were combined, so this is reflective of Oak Park team in 1913. The 2019 or 18 St. John Bosco, California, Southern California. Again, another IMG Academy, and the 2017 team actually had the top win-loss ranking of all time, and that's going to be reflective of such a tough schedule that the IMG plays every year, and particularly that 2017 team. So going through the top 10, Allen out of Texas, 2013 team, and that's an undefeated team. You look down that margin of victory and home score, it's easy to see why they're in the top 10. This is a tough schedule that they play, and they won the state champion. I believe they were ranked number 2 in the country that year by the media, which would be the Max Prep rating and the USA ratings as well. My first probably controversial, they're probably all controversial, but this is a little bit more in that IMG did have a loss at Mater Dei. Mater Dei is and was top 25 year in, year out school. They played in California, close game. It's just an overall reflection of how tough the schedule was. Gibson, Pine Ridge, I don't know if they won the Pennsylvania State Championship that year, but I think it was the year before they won that. Pennsylvania is one of the top states as far as producing great football teams. The Miami schools, Norland and Northwest are very tough, and Hoover is by far year in, year out the best team in Alabama, and plus and Henderson is, I mean, not the top team in Nevada, but usually up there number 2 or 3, top 5 anyway. Schools. Number 8, St. John Bosco out of California. This is the 2015 team, and looking at this division, if not the toughest, one of the toughest divisions in high school football. Plus they played St. Peter's Prep out of New Jersey, one of the top programs in New Jersey, which is another tough state, or top state that's always producing teams that are in the top 25. And I'm not sure if St. Peter's was that year after losing by 42 to St. John Bosco, but they're a great team outright. Portland Central in Oregon, it's by far the number 1 team in Oregon year in, year out. Going historically, probably in the top 10 year in, year out in the 2000s. And Colonel Centennial out of California, that's a tough league. Great team, the St. John Bosco's 2015 team. DeSoto, they did lose to Allen in the state championship. Allen had its number 10, close game, but this is a reflection of the overall schedule that both teams played, and I ranked that DeSoto just won out slightly over Allen, but on field Allen won that game. Mater Dei out of California, 2017. Look at their schedule. Bishop Gorman, 1 by 14. Bishop Gorman at that time was national championship 3 years in a row, I believe. Before that, Bergen out of New Jersey, top school, if not the top school, one of the top 10 anyway. And again, this is just a tough league that plays the Long Beach, Long Beach Poly is not in that league, but Servite, Mater Dei, Bellflower, very very tough schedule that they played, and then finishing off with a big win over De La Salle, perennial powerhouse in California, Northern California, and nationally. Another red and white team, Katie's, smaller school out of Texas. So they play smaller schools, and that's going to be reflected in their margin of victories and the scores. You got an 84. Is that 84 in here someplace? Thought there was, but it was 77 anyway. Here it is. Is 84 to nothing over their crosstown. I don't know if they're rivals, but Tompkins, again, this is a team it's a smaller school, and plays smaller schools, and they won every game convincingly. 2015. Another Texas team, another red and white team. North Shore last year, our 2018 team, great team, finished it off with a team that was ranked number 1 in the country, Duncanville, prior to them playing in the state championship. A great game, a close win, but North Shore finished number 1 in my poll that year and number 4 all time. Bellflower again, great team. 2019 last year, they lost one game. They lost it to a great team in Mater Dei. They played twice. The second game was in the playoffs, and Bosco won that game and went on to win the state championship and end up being the national champion in many polls last year, winning defeating De La Salle in the state championship game, open division. And number 2 is the team that they lost to and they beat in the playoffs. I have them. Mater Dei is a little bit higher than Bosco, but let's call them essentially tied for that year in position all time as tied for number 2 overall. Tough league again they play in, and they also beat the state champion. I don't know if they were state champions that year, but perennial Centennial in Arizona is number 1 in a top 25 team. St. Francis, I believe it was a top 5 team in the country, ended up, as well as St. John's out of DC, and they've won these games convincingly. And they had a slight overall winning margin against Bosco, and that might be why they ended up. But again, the program, the algorithm goes by overall performance throughout the year, not 1 or 2 games. Number 1, going way back, 1920. And you look at the picture in here, there's just a few players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 16 players there. And they don't look huge, but they look stout. And you look at the margin of victories and who they played. Played alumni. Usually alumni teams don't count in the rankings, and it's going to be kind of a neutral performance as far as the effect on their ratings. But they actually tied that team, and it's the only blemish they have. But it really does not affect the rankings because the alumni doesn't play any more teams besides that one, so they would be actually ranked equally. Stanwood didn't play that game, forfeited. I don't know if they scared him, but they knew going in that Everett was a strong team. Woodley won by 68. They played a Navy school or a Navy camp, probably 2 or 3 year older players what they were playing. So they're playing men again the next week after that. They're playing the Washington University freshmen, beat them by 20, and they beat another team of men 84 by 84 points. They lost or beat another college team by 20 points, and then they beat one of the top teams in Oregon by 83 points. Beat perennial at that time and still is Salt Lake City East. It's a very tough team. Probably, I'm sure it was the number one team in Utah that year in that area, and they beat them by nearly 70 points. Top team in California, beat everybody they played by a ton of points and lost to Everett by 30 points. And then they went on to the national championship game. Cleveland just obliterated everybody in the East, and they won that game January 1st, 1921, and by a point or 9 points. And that's why I have them as, I guess the algorithm has it as the number one of all time. And it's going to be pretty tough at a 93 combined rating to beat that. The next team is 10 points below that. So very good. There's a link here as far as a couple different histories to that team. And so congratulations, Everett, on continue to be rated number one of all time. So that's it for this week's. We covered the algorithm last week, top teams of all time this week. Next week I'll cover the top 25 programs. That would be do the top 25, which plus 25, a team that has at least 25 seasons that they've played, and I'll also cover the top 25 of 100 years of history that a team has to have played for 100 years to be in that ranking. And then I'll look at doing the national champions. I think that goes back to the mid 1910s, 1915. As far as the history, when actually I know there's some rankings from the 2000 or 1913 teams that were crowned national champion. You can compare those to what I have as that year's national champion. And then I'll go through the decades, and then also the top states after that. So with that, I think I'm done for the week. Make your comments down below, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.